Welcome to the Let's Talk with Paula show, where we talk about many topics, and we do many different things. Through the years, we've had, when we first started out, we didn't have a green set. We used curtains, and you can't see our curtain, but they did keep one and it's blue. I wish they had kept the black one, okay? But we used to use curtains when we first started, and we have evolved in 16 years. We now have a green set that you do not see, but if you were a guest on my show, you would see that, we create our own background. And we got new cameras, new setup last year, and we're getting ready to get some more equipment that's going to bring us up to speed some more. So we have evolved. So you have to get in contact with me through Lady Nighthawk Show if you'd like to be a guest on my show. And we, put you on YouTube, we put you on TikTok and other social medias. So, we give out interesting information. I do want to say this to you. Election is on May 14th for Bowie, okay? That's the last day. Make sure that you're a registered voter. Make sure that you check and see if you don't know where your registration place is. You need to check on that. And most of all, what's most important is so many candidates that are running. It is not just the few people that you see that have commercials that are on television right now, and it's even more commercials I've noticed in the last week of people that I've never seen, but those are not the only people that are running. So I beg you to go out and look for yourself to see who the candidates are, see who's running, see whether or not what they said that they're going to do, I don't care whether it's a new office or old office, that what they did in the old office, that they did what they said that they were going to do. And the things that they're promising now, is it feasible for them to get that done? Because people, as we know, from the President of the United States all the way down to the person that runs for sheriff or any other positions that we might have that they hold office, sometimes they promise to do things that's what they really want to do. I don't think that they're telling stories. I don't think that they, don't mean to mislead the public, but sometimes it's not them that's making that only decision. So you need to look and see whether or not those people in whatever position that they may have had, that they have done what they said they could do, and then find out if it was things that they could not do, why was it not done, okay? Because some things are done or not done. It's not because, like, the President of the United States didn't want to do it. It's because the Congress blocked him from doing it, okay? I also heard on the news the other day that, the President is kind of not in touch with the young people that are out here. I applaud you, young people that are working with these candidates. And I ask you that if you have anything that you might have to offer the president or the candidates that would help bring them into this circle, I asked you to write to them. You can write to the President of the United States. You could write to Trump. I mean, he lets you know wherever he is, okay? Because I can't say one without saying the other, okay? Because I can't show favoritism. So, but you can get in contact with either one of them and give them some suggestions. You can get in touch with the Vice President of the United States, and you can give her suggestions. I realize that the war that is going on is causing a lot of problems for all the candidates, okay, not just the president, but all of them that are running. The mayor of D.C. has had to make some hard decisions so far as, what were they going to do with those people that are camping outside of these universities here. But then you have a problem, because the students said over there at the campus in Georgetown that, I'm sorry, it's Columbia, I think it is, Columbia University, that the neighborhood was feeding them and making sure that they were okay. So you have, those people that are in the community that are helping them to camp out at some of these different colleges. So, the community is giving them okay. You got the college presidents and stuff that are getting all this flack. And so what do you do? And what does the mayor do? What does the President of the United States do? And it's just like some of those other things that were going on when the other president was in office, like the insurrection, or we talked about when they were down in front of the White House and he walked over to, the church where the presidents usually go into, and he had the Bible upside down while he walked. I'm sorry, it's something flying around in here. I'm not going crazy, okay? It actually is a net or something in here. And he walked over there, and we had National Guards and things on the street, So, we just have to be really, really careful on how we pick and choose our battles, because they say that a lot of those students that are out there are not students from that particular campus, not just this one, but other campuses across the country. And that during that time that I was talking about, when the president had called the National Guard in, that a lot of people that were causing the problems were not people that lived in our area. They were different organizations that were his organizations that were with the mega group, okay? And they came in and they were causing problems and they were causing most of the disturbances. So the same things happen on these campuses as well. So we have to be careful. When we get ready to go out and vote, make sure that we do look and see, who is for what and who is doing what and what's not being done. But you need to do your homework. I say this all the time. I've been saying it all year. The election for the President of the United States is going to be here in a minute, okay? Just like we have these people that are running for office in Bowie, that's May 14th is the last day that you can vote. If you were going to do early voting, you should have already started doing that, okay? Check and see. By the time you see this, early voting might be gone, okay? Because this show won't air until next week. And next week is the week that you should be voting. So, you might have a day or two in between, but I'm telling you the whole time, please do your homework. It's not hard to do. And a lot of us, even older people, you know how to use Google. Ask it a question. Ask it a question about a current candidate and see what kind of answers or responses that you get back. Because you can ask a question about anything, and if it doesn't work one way, then put another word inside of it, okay? But do your homework. Go out there and vote. Young folks, we need you in this election for November. We need you to go out and vote so that the numbers are turned around for these primaries that are out there. Then we don't know what the numbers are true and which ones are not true, okay? Because we know that, I can't say who, but sometimes the polls are suggesting that some of them are being skewed. So, we have to be careful about whether or not we believe some of the information that we're getting that's coming across the television screen, okay? You can check it out and verify it for yourself. Also, you have to be careful too, is that some of your local stations are owned by different politicians. Not say politicians, but they're people that are very affluent that own some of these companies. And so you can kind of tell by the way the information is being disseminated, okay? I looked at one show the other night, and I'm not going to tell you which show it was, but it was on a channel, and it was talking about everything that happened during the course of the day, okay, in different places. And I can't say exactly what it was, but anyway, some of the things that the person was telling was, okay, I could say, okay, well, that's true. And then some of the things that they were saying, I could say, and then I had to go look it up. And like I said, I had my phone, so I went into Google and I looked it up, and it was a half truth. So some of it was true and some of it wasn't true. So you have to be careful on interpretation, and interpretation of the law, okay, as well. We are in troubling times. That's my opinion right now. There's a lot of things that are going on. We have more killings than I can remember, and I've been around for a minute. And I know one time before we were going around with all these killings and shootings and little kids getting killed, and a 3-year-old just got killed last week. And, by the time you said it would have been 2 weeks ago. And, people standing outside, they got a picture of two young people walking down the alley with a gun, and then they shot up a school over there in D.C. and it got the young lady's in the hospital because one of the bullets went through the classroom that she was sitting in, and she got injured and she's still in the hospital. Walking down the street, people are shooting in the cars and shooting in their homes. There's a lot of domestic violence that's going on. I haven't seen that in a while because we actually did a show on domestic violence when it was high before. We did a show here years ago about domestic violence, and you would be surprised that most of the domestic violence sometimes is not from you, me, just ordinary folks, that it's actually people that are in the armed forces, or it's the people that are on the police force or other forces. So, you have to think about that. Everybody has those stressful jobs out there, and sometimes, mental health is a big issue right now. And I'm not saying that everybody needs mental health, but you need to have a checkout time sometime to sit down and reassess how you feel, what's going on with you. Take a time to breathe, and sort through things in your mind, because sometimes stress is a killer. It can kill you, okay? When my mother used to say that to me, I ain't never believe her, okay? But I actually have, the older I get, the more things that I used to hear her or my grandmother say, I see that they're very true. So I'm telling you, mental health is no joke. I see these commercials that are on television, and it says that these children are saying that streaming is ruining their lives. And that why? Because, you can bully a person over a stream, you could spread false gossip. And now with the AI, you can take a photograph and make anybody be anywhere, okay? And you can take a photograph and put another person in it, and it really looks like that person is really there. So you really have to be careful about what you do, the rumors that you spread, the gossip that you put out there. And so, yeah, I can see why the commercial comes on and say that, that social media is ruining their lives, because there's probably a lot of bogus stuff that's being put out there about those students or that person or that individual. And it doesn't only happen to young people, it happens to adults as well. So, you have to be careful about what you put out there on social media. I know that I did tell you about, it was on social media, and actually they showed this on the news last week again. I talked to her about it when I first saw it on Stephen Colbert. I don't have stock in his company, and he showed us how AI is showing these pictures, and you have to be careful and look at them very clearly. And then last week on Channel 4 News, I watched Channel 4, 7, and 5, and 9, okay? But just so happened I was on Channel 4, they showed one of the same pictures that Stephen Colbert had shown some weeks ago, where the ex-president of the United States had put out there saying that he had all these black supporters. And it was a man that he had in a picture, looked like he was canvassing the neighborhood, and he had a clipboard, right? But if you looked at it very closely on the news, as Stephen Colbert pointed out, if you look very closely, the man is engaged with the other man. They have a clipboard, but you see two hands up here, and then you have one hand that's down on the side. So now this man has 3 arms. I thought that was the funniest thing in my whole entire life. But go out there and Google it. You can see it for yourself. So you have to be careful. And then they actually showed you on the news, too, that how you have to be careful about with these robot calls that you get on your telephones where they're scamming people. And I get an email every day that's coming from President Biden's office. I don't know if that's really President Biden's office, okay? So I'm not going to support just something that's coming across my text message, because one, I didn't give anybody my information for them, not unless, where they got it from, I don't know. But I'm not going to send money to a place that I don't really know who it's going to, or whose campaign that is really going to. And I did text them back, and I told them that, if somebody wanted to call me, you could give me a call, But just be careful. It's a lot of scams that's going on. Now, last week, I also told you about the skimmer machines, okay, that were in Prince George's County, that has become abundantly, it has really become so bad that, Bowie is on the map. And I told y'all that last week. But it's not just Bowie. They had 8 other cities that was on the map. And I told you I was going to give you an update if I found out some information about what it is that happens when you use one of those 3 methods, okay, to purchase an item. Okay, the first night when me and Ms. Eagleston was on here last week, we could only tell you the little bit that we knew, you know, because we had talked to the banks, and at that time the person that we talked to did not know exactly what was going on, but they showed it on Channel 4 News, and I told you to go out there and Google it. Well, anyway, I found out that Monday because I went to the bank to check, because I went to see whether or not what happened to me on the same night that the news had broadcasted, whether or not it was still happening at this particular store. And I went into the store and I watched this lady try to make this transaction and this purchase, and it did her exactly the same way. She tapped first, and she said, I just used this card and I know that it worked on a tap. Well, everybody doesn't tap, so, you know, but I know that this store does because I've used the tap before myself. So I watched her tap, I didn't say a word, I just stood back to observe. And then it said that she had to insert. She inserted a card and she was trying to bypass the green button so she would not have to, you know, use her PIN. Well, it told her that she had to use a PIN, so they suggested that she would swipe. So I told her when she got ready to swipe, because now I have new information I'm going to give you an update on, that I told her that not to swipe. Now, she was an older woman with her daughter, and they had bought like 2 hot dogs and a soda and something else, and I know that, you know, I have diabetes, and it was late in the afternoon. I didn't know whether or not this lady really needed to eat something that boost her sugar up, so I told her I would pay for it. Okay, so the lady asked the person behind the register, she says, well, can you just cancel that out and let's try the other register? And the lady behind the counter asked her why. She says, because maybe the other one will work. And so the lady said, well, why do you want me to cancel? She said, well, I said, because that one might work. So she told her, well, I don't want it. So then the lady said, okay, so she rang that out. And then she went over to the other register. When she went over to the other register, what happened was, same thing, wouldn't tap. Asked her to insert. She didn't want to, you know, use her PIN. And so I had taken a picture of the Channel 4 News broadcast so that she wouldn't think I was some crazy woman just coming in the store. And I told her and her daughter to look at it, right, while I look for the money to pay for her purchase. So while they're looking at it, they say, oh, it's another one of these stores that's over there off of Greenbelt Road that has the skimmers on them, okay? And then it told her the same information that we had just witnessed for ourselves. Now, they said that if that happens to you, that you should call the police so the police can come in there and look, because all those skimming machines are not like they used to be. You can't just shake them. You can't try to pull them up. It doesn't work because they have gotten more sophisticated. Also, what has happened is that they will make sure that the vendor gets paid, but then you don't know when they double back around because the store hasn't had it, they haven't had any problems with getting their money, but now they're taking everybody else's money. Because before, if in fact they did not get their monies, then the store knew right away that it was a skimmer, and so that then they could make a complaint. But now they make sure that the vendor gets paid, but what happens to you and I, they go into our accounts. Now, let me tell you what the bank told me. Every place doesn't tap, so you can't use it. And this kind of was like, they didn't go into detail about what I'm getting ready to tell you, but they did tell you this process that I just told you about, the tap. Every place doesn't tap, so you can't use that. If it forces you to insert and you cannot bypass the PIN, okay, then do not swipe, okay? Just leave the stuff and go someplace else and get what you gotta get. This is the process at the banks. If you tap and you can tap, none of your information will go through on one of these skimmers. So tapping is safe, okay? Unless you lose it in the store and somebody picks it up, then they can tap galore and use all your money that way. So be careful with your card that has the tap mechanism on it where you can tap at these machines, or the chip that you can tap, right? Now, the second thing is, if you insert your card and put your PIN in, the bank says that what they can retrieve from that insert and you using the PIN is that they can get your name, they can get your PIN number, and they can get your address, okay? So you don't really want to insert. What I did that night, my spirit, I always rely on my spirit, and I'm so glad that I do. I immediately, after I saw that news broadcast, I went in and I changed my PIN. And I told you last week that you could change your PIN from 4 to 7 numbers, and me and Sierra didn't realize that you could do that, you know. I have not had an opportunity, and I said I was going to wait till she came back to see whether or not the ATM machines were any different, okay? Now, so we got through the tap, nothing happens. They get no information with the tap unless you lose your card, okay? With the insert, if you can't bypass, they get your name, your PIN number, and your address. Now, this is why I tell you, if you did that and it's forcing you to swipe, don't swipe. Don't do it. Do not swipe. If it's forced you to go from tap to insert, you can't bypass, you know, the button so that you don't have to insert your PIN because you're not getting any cash back, and it forces you to now go to swipe, and it's asking you for, and you can't bypass putting your PIN in, do not buy the purchase, okay? Because if you swipe, the swipe will give them your name, your address, your PIN number. It will also give them your bank account number, the routing number, and your actual bank account information. It will give them your phone number. Any information that the bank has on you, they now have it, okay? And the way they're doing this is the way I understand it. They'll go and place it in the midst of the city, and it's in high traffic areas, okay? So, you know, if you know the shopping center has a lot of, I mean, I sat there and I waited for 15 minutes for the police to come. In that particular place where I was, I mean, it was just busy. So I'm glad that for myself, I went back to see, so that when I came back and told you, to tell you, I could tell you what I witnessed for myself. The police officer went in, she talked to the lady, she made a report. I told her, do not put me in the report, but give me the report number so I could take it back to my bank in case my money gets lost because of this. They'll put the skimmers down, okay? Like they had 8, 9, 10 towns in Bowie, I mean, not just Bowie, in this Prince George's County area. Okay, so they go and they place them, right? So you don't know, then they come back and they double back and they pick up the information later on. Well, by that time, you're not going to remember which store it was that you went into. It just so happened that I remembered because I immediately saw it on the news that night, okay? And I immediately changed my PIN. But if it was a week later and I went to my bank account and my bank account was wiped out, I'm not going to remember what store I went into or where I was, okay, at that particular time. So I'm just telling you to be careful. Do not, if in fact you can't tap, so please write this down. If you can't tap, every place doesn't use tap, fine. If it puts you on insert and it will not, if you're not trying to get cash back and it forces you, you can't push a red, green, or whatever color button it is to make you move on and not put your PIN in, and then it tells you that you have to go back and swipe, do not swipe. Because swipe gives them everything there is, and they can, when they come back around and double back to get that information, then they can get everything that is about you and your bank account. And I'm telling you, it's a lot of people that are getting income tax checks, they get their Social Security, they get their welfare checks, they get, you know, money put in their account, deposits for their job. So it's really important for you to check your account. I'm not talking about you waiting, because the lady at the bank said to me, do not wait until you get your statements to check your bank account. I don't do that anyway. I check my bank account before I'll pay 3 bills, wait for it to clear, and then I'll pay 3 more bills, and then I wait for that to clear, okay? And this before they said something about a skimming machine. So I'm telling you, check your accounts periodically. If you feel like you might have been a victim of a skimmer, okay, I suggest you go in and change your PIN in your account right away. And I also recommend that you report it to somebody, okay? Like I said, I didn't just take that information and just go to the bank and say, oh, this is what I believe, this is what I saw. That's why I went back to see it for myself, whether or not it was going to force somebody to do the same exact thing than what it did to me. And it seems like in this particular store that they were, trying to gear the customer into going to one particular machine, whereas we see that both machines are working. But if they kind of gear everybody to one machine, that machine they can take and they can leave the other one, okay? Because the other one, nobody's hardly using it because they're directing you, or they stand behind the one that they know that's getting most of the information. So that's what I'm saying. You got to be careful, okay? And check your bank account, change your PIN. Somebody else was telling me that you can lock your, I don't use a wallet. I don't put my credit cards in a wallet on my phone. I don't do that. And how it got on there, I do not have a clue, but the lady at the bank took it out. But they tell me that if you use the wallet, that you can lock it, okay? There's some kind of app that you can go out here and you can lock your credit cards. I don't use apps, so I'm telling you that if you use an app, then you can go in and lock your credit cards down. This is my understanding. Ask one of these young people. Maybe it's an older person that knows, okay? But if you can lock your account and lock, it's one thing to lock your phone, but it's another thing to lock down your bank account cards. So I'm recommending you that if that's what you do and you have a wallet that you use, that you put your credit cards on, I'm asking you to ask somebody to show you how to get the app, if that's what you feel is safe. I don't use them, okay? But they say that they can lock their credit cards, they can turn it on and lock them wherever they are, whenever they get ready to. They think that something's going on. But I'm telling you personally, I don't use them. But so you check out the information for yourself, because I'm not the authority. I'm just giving you some of the information that people have given to me. So don't take this as gospel, but you can look up the things that I've been telling you. You can call your bank yourself and ask them, what is the information that the skimmers get from you when you hit a skimmer, okay? And they're going to tell you the same thing. But I'd rather for you, I tell you all the time, research this stuff for yourself. Then that way you feel comfortable, okay? PG County is being hit. It's being hit hard, and Bowie is one of those areas that's being hit as well. So you take care. You have a good night. Happy Mother's Day. It's been gone past, but I'm going to tell you now, happy past Mother's Day, okay, guys? And I hope that you mothers had a good and a fabulous time with your family. And I'm going to say with that, good night, and take care, and God bless.
Ah!